Coming up next on the update, a jogger stumbles on what appears to be a clear case of murder. The rebuilding begins for people who lost their homes to a powerful storm that hit without warning. And scam artists could be using your health insurance to make millions of dollars. Find out how to protect yourself from these criminals next on the update. A jogger discovers what a murderer apparently didn't want anyone to find. Local families try to recover after a destructive storm rips through their homes. And a pilot returns home to find his own plane perched precariously on his balcony. Good evening, everyone. Here's what's happening. Stormy weather churned up a mystery on Ford Lake in Ypsilanti Township tonight. Devastating winds that raked the area this morning may have washed up a body clearly intended to remain at the bottom of the lake. Channel 7's Mike Huckman has more on the story in this live action camera report from the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department in Ann Arbor. Mike?
Well, Diana, we don't know for certain if this morning's storm or the recent warm weather we've been having caused the body to rise to the surface of the lake. But one thing we do know for sure is that detectives here at the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department tonight have a real mystery on their hands. They've got the body of an unidentified white male which was apparently dumped in an Ypsilanti Township lake, like something out of a movie. A man out for his evening jog on the bridge at the north end of Ford Lake first discovered the body. A short time later, a group of neighborhood girls walking by also spotted it.
We was me and her and all these people. We was walking down the street, and then I just looked over and I was like, y'all look, because something was floating, and it was a white thing with somebody's hand was tied behind.
A sheriff's spokesman says the man's hands were simply bound by the sheet, which was wrapped around his upper body and head and attached to a weight.
We're treating this case as a homicide due to the peculiar circumstances of the cinder block.
How big is the cinder block?
It's a full-size cinder block that you'd find likely anywhere, house cinder block.
The Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department diving team was called in to retrieve the body from near the water intake valve of the dam, where the current is so strong the diver had to be kept on a tether. Authorities believe the body had to be dumped in the lake some time ago for it to decompose enough to surface with the block. The stench was so bad, everyone around had to wear masks. Local residents watched and worried, as this is the second murder victim found in this area in just a week.
It's really scary, especially when we all have children, you know, and it's not safe for anybody around here anymore.
Now, in a subdivision not far from there, just off of Ford Lake last week, a 17-year-old boy from Lansing was found stabbed to death in an apparent drug-related killing, but Sheriff's Department authorities say they do not believe at this point that these two killings might be related. Now, authorities couldn't see any gunshot wounds or other signs of trauma on the body, so an autopsy will be performed first thing tomorrow morning at the University of Michigan Medical Center to determine the exact cause of death. Reporting live from Ann Arbor, Mike Huckman, Channel 7 Action News. Diana?
All right, thank you very much, Mike. In addition to determining the cause of death, medical examiners will also have to identify the victim because police did not find any ID on the body. Mike?
Well, Diana, hours after coming face to face with nature's full fury, they are making a clean sweep tonight and rebuilding in Ypsilanti Township. It was not a tornado, but a storm packing what are called straight-line winds that slammed into a cluster of lakeside condominiums this morning. As you can see, an incredible mess. The condos heaved with the storm, tearing the roof off 3 units, damaging more than a dozen others. The swimming pool brimmed with debris and massive toothpicks from the collapsed wooden deck. Tonight, residents are trying to put some order to the chaos.
If you had to surmise this at all, it would be a very organized disaster.
It's the aftermath of a split-second surge of nature, what experts call straight-line winds. Day one of what will be months of cleanup and repair to the Cliffs condos here in Ypsilanti Township. For the record, 18 Phase 3 units were ransacked by high winds off surrounding Ford Lake this morning. It was an awesome 6:15 wake-up call.
I ran out into my living room to see the tree in front of my condominium being ripped out of the ground and being thrown on the stairwell going down towards my boat.
We pretty well decided the first order of business was to find out who was there and to evacuate the area.
What they found was that 4 of their neighbors had been injured, all now treated and released. This is the view 20 residents have of the damage tonight. they met with a building contractor at a nearby hotel.
We're all starting to realize what had transpired and that we're all very lucky to be alive. And I think that's the main thing. We can replace buildings, but we can't replace people.
24-hour security has been set up around the perimeter of the condominiums to ensure and protect against looting. As for the storm itself, people we talked to said the most remarkable thing was how quickly it started and how quickly it ended. Here on the grounds of the condo complex, the biggest problem for security guards, ironically, isn't looters, it's gawkers.
We've had all kinds of people coming in here and trying to get in and see what's going on. And the problem is they can't really see anything. They can see more on your news.
Yeah, they're asking these gawkers just to stay away. They've got a lot of work ahead of them. And tonight, the condo residents are being told that it could take 60 to 90 days to complete the repairs to their homes. Diana?
Federal investigators tonight are trying to determine if weather may have been a factor in a plane crash that happened not far from where the storm hit. The 67-year-old pilot from Flushing, Michigan, was killed when his single-engine prop slammed into the ground in Salem Township. It happened shortly before 9 o'clock this morning. Witnesses say the plane was circling a field, apparently attempting to make an emergency landing. But as it came in, one of the wings hit a fence and sent the aircraft spinning in cartwheels as it crashed. Tonight, a Detroit woman is launching a desperate telephone campaign to U.S. senators, begging for help before her husband is shipped away to a foreign land forever.
They just took him. They just took him, and I was dumbfounded. I just did not know what to do. My husband turned around. He looked at me. He said, "Honey, they're taking me away."
Tammy and Ibrahim Sabah made what was supposed to be a routine trip to the Federal Immigration Office today, but it ended with Ibrahim's arrest and scheduled deportation to his native Lebanon. The claim he came to America illegally by paying another woman to marry him years ago.
Congress has taken a very harsh view towards those persons who attempt to fraudulently enter. He is one of those persons. He violated the law, and he has to suffer the consequences.
I don't want to lose my family. I just want my family to stay together. That's all I ask.
If he is deported, Sabah will leave behind an American stepdaughter and a 1-year-old son. Mike?
And now world news. The spy chief in Iraq tonight is vowing to avenge the missile strike that blew up his headquarters over the weekend. He's quoted as saying the American attackers are evil insects that must be punished. At least 3 of nearly 24 missiles fired at the Iraqi intelligence service missed the target and slammed into residential areas. Iraq claims 8 people died. It lodged a formal complaint today with the United Nations accusing the U.S. of state terrorism. President Bill Clinton ordered the attack as a sort of payback for an alleged assassination plot against former President George Bush. Mr. Clinton says he regrets the loss of life, but his conscience is clear and the mission a success.
It's my job. I did exactly what I said I'd do in the campaign. When confronted by circumstances like this, the evidence was clear, and we took the appropriate action. And it was the right thing to do for the United States, and I feel quite comfortable with it.
Nobody can predict what Saddam might do. It would be unwise for him to try to retaliate.
The aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt and its massive firepower are steaming toward the Persian Gulf tonight. The mission is to bolster forces already there, just in case Iraq tries to pull something. The attack bombed any hope Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein may have had for improved relations with the U.S. under the Clinton administration. Iraq insists the assassination plot it's accused of is nothing more than a fabrication to justify launching the attack. Well, let's move on. More than 24 law enforcement agents are doing their homework tonight in an effort to catch the so-called university bomber. Agents from the FBI, Treasury Department, and Postal Service have formed a task force in the wake of recent bombings at the University of California and Yale. 2 professors were injured last week by mail bombs. The same person may be responsible for 12 other bombings, including one at the University of Michigan back in 1985. Veterans of the old investigation will work side by side with the new task force. Diana?
He was convicted of raping and murdering a little girl and served 9 years in prison. But tonight, he has been vindicated because of a scientific discovery. We'll have his story for you. Next, it's a scam that's making people rich off of your health insurance. We'll show how you can guard against it in the Nightside Report. And ahead, a pilot returns home only to find his plane perched on his balcony.
I'm Don Shane. It was not a good day for Carlton Fisk. It was not a good day for Jose Canseco. It was not a good night for the Tigers, who lost again. I'll explain it all still to come.
Boy, it is a good night for the weather. Beautiful out there, 61 degrees. I'm Rob Kress. We've got a good-looking forecast for you coming up first thing in the morning, and then maybe some surprises toward the end of the week. Complete look at the weather still to come here on 7.